Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber. And for this week, I'm going to give my review of the King of the Ring / Queen of the Ring event that just happened in Saudi Arabia this past Saturday. Uh, I have to say, I'm quite pleased with the results, for a couple of reasons. And before I get into those, I will go ahead and give all the contact information. If you'd like to contact me via email or contact the show rather via email, it's armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. You can find the show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok just by searching for Armchair Booking Podcast. You can find it on Twitter, X, at Booking Armchair. If you happen to be using an audio platform, and that allows you to give reviews as well as ratings. If you give the show a 5-star rating and you give it a review, I will actually read the review on the air on a future episode. If you use a platform that does not have the capability of giving reviews, but you can still give a rating, which I believe the majority of them do now, if you go ahead and give me a screenshot, send it to armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com along with the review that you would have given. I will read that on the air. If you don't want your name mentioned, just let me know. I respect everybody's privacy, and I have no problems in doing that. So, but the important thing is definitely give it a rating, even if you don't give a review. The rating is really what helps the show get noticed with the algorithm, and I would be greatly, greatly appreciative of that. And last but not least, if you would desire to have some armchair booking merch, such as this telephone case, go to tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. They have t-shirts, they have hoodies, they have pillowcases, they have laptop cases, they have phone cases, and they just started selling hats. So looks like I have a couple ball caps in my future that I'm going to be ordering for myself to try them out. But in the meantime, if you feel like, ordering them yourself, go ahead and go check it out. I would also really appreciate that. It helps get the show get noticed. And so for now, let's go on with the review. Okay, for those of you who listened last week when I gave the preview, actually it was more my predictions because the show itself was actually talking about the TNA show that I went to with my friend Rescue Randy. But I went ahead and gave my predictions. This is the first time I have ever gotten every match correct. There was only 5, but still. One match wrong, you got an 80%. 2 matches wrong, you got a 60%. So, but I got all of them right, and it would have been 6 for 6 because the women's tag team title match was actually scheduled after I had actually already done the show, and it was because Bianca Belair she lost to Nia. So I put Nia in the finals, which means now we have a tag team match. That was actually on the pre-show, the pre-game show, the kickoff show, whatever they're calling it now. I would have predicted that one also. And because, if you just look at, okay, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, they are still pretty new as a team, even though they already have the tag titles, but they're still getting established as a team. They're not going to drop the titles off them just yet. Not only that, but the way this match ended, they actually had a real legit, pretty cool looking tag team move to actually finish the match. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I was thinking there's no way they're not going to drop the titles off of them just yet. So I actually would have predicted that one as well. Pretty decent match. I liked it. In fact, none of the matches on here were bad. Honestly, because it seems like, it's hard to have an event that has, every match be really, really good. But I think that's also indicative of the new regime that's in charge of WWE. There's no throwaway matches on the cards anymore. So, onto the main part. Now, Liv Morgan defeated Becky Lynch by pinfall to win the Women's World Championship. Yes, I called this. I may have been one of the few people in the world that called this. And by the way, I had totally blanked about Becky Lynch's contract situation. And so I don't know if that would have affected my decision at all anyway. But I just knew it was time for Liv to have it. It was time for Becky to drop it, regardless of the even if Becky had a long-term contract signed, I would have still picked her to lose this because it was just time for her to lose. And of course, the way what happened with Dominic Mysterio, with him coming out, being a distraction. Liv was able to pick up the win. Yes, I realized they said, well, she DDT'd her on the chair, but then she still did her own finishing move after that, to pin her. And so now we had this whole thing. And of course, on Monday Night Raw, 2 days later, you had Liv planting a kiss on Dominic Mysterio. Now, this was after the cameras for the American show, the American telecast actually went off the air. So people in other parts of the world apparently also saw this, and this you can actually see the footage of this on YouTube. I mean, there's so many different wrestling sites or wrestling channels that actually showed this. But now it appears like, okay, so this is leading into another story with Judgment Day. Of course, Rhea Ripley is not going to be too pleased with Dominic helping somebody win it, but at the same time, I'm also thinking, I don't think it really matters who has it. Rhea's still going to be going after them. Doesn't matter if it's Becky. It doesn't matter if it's Liv Morgan. But now Dominic being with Liv Morgan, now that's another part of the story. But I don't think Judgment Day are going to be, well, I don't know. Because Damian Priest, I mean, it looks like he's kind of sliding out, and Carlito may be sliding in. We'll see. But once again, good match. I mean, I didn't expect it to be a bad match at all. And the same thing with any of these matches. None of these were going to be bad. Even though one appeared it was going to be a squash, and it kind of was, but it still wasn't a bad match. It actually told the story it needed to tell. But the next match, Sami Zayn over Chad Gable and Bronson Reed by pinfall, triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn's not going to lose in Saudi. He is so over there. He is one of the most popular wrestlers maybe ever to be part of these events. And it's really on the second event that he's been to. But it does mean a lot for the Saudi crowd for Sami Zayn to be able to come over there. Because if you remember there was one time he refused, and actually Kevin Owens, who was his best friend in real life, actually stood by him and also refused to go. But now, I mean, that's all in the past. And Sami Zayn's doing this for the actual fans. It has nothing to do with the government, but it has to do with the fans. He's going to show up for the fans. The fans absolutely love him. And so the match itself was a good match. You have this intrigue now with Chad Gable telling Otis, stick to the plan, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. Okay, go. And then Otis clothesline Chad Gable. And so, I mean, it now appears like Alpha Academy. They're going to be breaking up. I mean, I can't think of a stable, a long-lasting stable that didn't have somebody break off. And that's like in all the history of wrestling. If anybody knows of a stable that actually lasted with no members leaving, like on bad terms, please, by all means, let me know. But with the match itself, I mean, it's pretty exciting. When Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb on Bronson Reed, even trying, and that was part of the story of the match. Once again, a good match, but Nia Jax over, and I'm at to laugh at this because let me rescue Randy. He let me know when I saw him this past Sunday about how badly I butchered her name. But Lyra Valkyria, Lyra Valkyrie, like Valkyrie. I was like, duh, Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria. Nia Jax defeated Lyra Valkyria by pinfall. Now, Leah, I mean, she did good. This is another case of Nia may have went over, but Lyra got over. And for those who are not geeky wrestling fans like myself, went over means you won. Got over means you impress people enough to where they are going to be paying attention to you. It means that you look good. Even when you lost, you still look good. And I actually like this about Nia winning, because this is kind of, we talked all for the past 6 months about Cody finishing his story. Well, Nia has her own story that she's telling. Nia, of course, was in the bad graces of WWE management a few years. She left. She was accused of being careless in the ring. She actually broke Becky Lynch's nose. So oddly enough, that's what actually catapulted Becky's career. That's when all of a sudden she became the man. And Becky became more popular than ever because Nia legitimately breaking her nose. I mean, there was blood everywhere. It was, right there on Raw, which they're not supposed to have blood on TV, but we couldn't help it. The girl's nose was bleeding pretty bad from getting punched right in the nose. And I also hurt a couple other people. And, you know, she was getting a really bad reputation. And so she left. And now she's back. A few years later, of course, PKM is no longer there. Now it's Paul Levesque. And Paul Levesque looks at things different. And I'm going to guess that Nia is now a lot more careful. And she does some, I mean, she's supposed to be a monster heel. And so you expect her to do monster moves, but you can do monster moves without actually hurting somebody. And I think that's what she's doing now. And she got a couple of Samoan drops on Lyra, and she got the win. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, he actually came to the ring and he presented her crown to her. And you can tell, I mean, she had tears and those were legit. I mean, yeah, she's a monster heel, but at the same time, the person behind Nia Jax is still human. The human being there is still going to be very emotional because she just, this is part of her own redemption story. As my daughter always talks about when she does her movie reviews, the redemption arc. Actually, you know what? I've been doing redemption. I've been doing my own movie reviews on my other podcast, the Cubicle Chat, and sometimes I'll use redemption arc. But this is, I mean, really it. I mean, it's Nia. She's getting her redemption here, and now she's going to be going up for the Women's World Title against Liv Morgan at SummerSlam on August 3rd in Cleveland, 4 hours away from me. But I won't be there. That's my wife's birthday, so we are going to be celebrating that. And she already pretty much told me she will punch me right in the face if I try to go watch SummerSlam on that day. But I mean, it is her birthday, and I'll be honest with you, that is more important than, I can always catch SummerSlam later. Just not live and in person, but it's okay. But I was glad to see Nia do that. And of course, the next one was the men's King of the Ring. Now, this one obviously is going to have some controversy. Everybody, if you watch the match, you know what happened. Okay, good. It started out as a wrestling match, turned into a brutal chop fest along with the wrestling holds because these two guys, Gunther and Randy Orton, they can wrestle. So they wrestled both those styles pretty well. They can do a lot of the actual wrestling holds, the scientific wrestling holds, the arm bars, the leg bars, everything like that, the headlocks, the actual chain wrestling stuff. And they can also brawl when they need to. And of course, Gunther, he's known now for his chops. He was turning Randy Orton's chest into basically a stoplight because he was making it that red. And, he was working the body parts because Gunther's definitely old school. And that's why I think why he even though he's a heel, people are still cheering him. And even though he's honestly, he's an awesome heel because of what he said after this match. But of course, a lot of counter moves, and Gunther ended up getting a counter move on Randy Orton and getting the pin. However, you saw Randy Orton's shoulder was definitely off the mat. It was off the mat after the 1 count. Can't say the referee didn't see it, honestly. And then yes, I do realize it's a work, but they should have probably positioned the referee a little bit different so where he's not like legitimately right there in front of his face. Oh, by the way, his shoulder's off the mat. And this is an old type storyline where you may have won it, and Paul Levesque has actually said, look, the referee's decision is final. However, we will get this, settled. But for now, Gunther is the King of the Ring. In fact, now they're starting to call him the King General, the Ring General. I can't do his accent. But now they're calling him the King General. General. Okay, Randy, you can talk smack to me when you see me this weekend, this Sunday. But I can't do Gunther's accent. I apologize. But I mean, he is now. They're calling him the King General. They've actually changed a lot of that. The King General, not just the Ring General. But Gunther now has a shot at the title at SummerSlam because that is something new, and I'm glad they did it. It's kind of like the Royal Rumble. For the first, let's see, 88, 89, 90, in 91, the winners of the Royal Rumble just got to call themselves, "Ooh, you're the winner of the Royal Rumble. Yay." 92, of course, it was for the world title, and everyone after that, with the exception of the ones where the world title was actually on the line, the winner of the Rumble got a shot at WrestleMania for the now it's whatever title they choose. Whether world title, the WWE title, Universal, whatever. One of the big belts, one of the main belts. Now the King of the Ring, because there for a few years, think about it, they didn't even have the King of the Ring. But now the winner of the King of the Ring and now Queen of the Ring, and I'm glad it's the Queen of the Ring and not the Queen's Crown or whatever the crap VKM was calling it a few years ago, and where all the women's matches, the total time for all of them would have equaled up to maybe 10 minutes total. And this is for like 8 matches. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, it showed you what Vince thought of women's wrestling. And now, of course, we know what Vince, how he treats women anyway. But now Gunther is going to have a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Now, whether that's going to be, not Cody. Oh my Lord, what am I thinking? Um, I am totally drawing a blank. Um, oh, duh, Damian Priest. I literally just mentioned him. I'm telling you right now that Alzheimer's is already kicking in on me, and I'm only 50. But whether it be Damian Priest or whether it be Drew McIntyre, because Damian and Drew McIntyre are actually having their own match for the World Championship at Clash of the Castle, which is going to actually be in Scotland, not Wales. And they're going to be in Drew's actual home country. And by the way, this is more of a hometown than what Wales is. And I'm pretty sure everybody over in the UK, whether it be Wales, Scotland, or England, were thinking, why do they keep calling it? He's not Welsh, he's Scottish. Why do they keep calling it, his hometown being Cardiff? Cardiff is not his hometown. He's actually from the Ayrshire district in Scotland. But he's actually going to be there. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll do this on a preview in the upcoming, right before the event actually happens. Drew's got a point. He is going to be over like Rover in Scotland because Drew was very, very proud to be Scottish. Now he's an American citizen now. I mean, he actually mentioned that on Raw this past Monday, but he is going to be cheered so loud in Scotland. It does not matter who he's wrestling. And so I could see them putting the title on Drew. I could see them leaving on Damian. Damian, it's almost obvious they're turning him face, splitting him off from the Judgment Day because they put the title. And Damian Priest is very, very deserving of the title, by the way. I think Damian Priest, he's going to be a good champion. Although I don't see him holding it very long, maybe a few more months. And too long to be considered a transitional champion. But he's not going to have a real lengthy reign. I think it all kind of depends because, I think the money match would be more Gunther and Drew, but I also think Gunther and Damian Priest would still be a good match. So I'm looking forward to the results of that. I'd like to see Drew get it back because of what happened at WrestleMania when he held it for literally like 5 minutes and Damian cashed in, and Gunther saying Damian's not a real champion and all that because he cashed in. And it's like, well, he's not the first. The promos have actually been pretty good. Gunther, by the way, his promo after him, because Gunther, he just says some just mean stuff during his promos. And he goes like right for what's going to hurt you. But his speech after he won King of the Ring, and this is what I want to get to. When the crowd starts chanting, "You deserve it, you deserve it," and he said, "But thank you." He said, "But it's none of your business what I do or do not deserve." I was like, man, I was like, and that's why I like this guy. But he really is kind of like a cool, can't say monster heel because he's not a huge guy, but definitely like an unstoppable heel. Like the man can just beat you in so many different ways, and I like how they've done that. But We got some good matches coming down the stretch. I really hope they don't make any of those a triple threat match. If you know me well enough, you listen to the show long enough, unless they make an elimination style match, I am not a fan of the multi singles in a match, whether it be triple threat, fatal four way, freaking 5-way, sexy 6-way, or whatever, unless they are elimination style. Because putting a title up for grabs in a match with multiple competitors where you can lose a title even though you weren't the one to get pinned or submitted is a cop out. And I think they rely on them way too often and make them elimination or don't do them. So, but the last match, main event, Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, also good match. Logan Paul as a U.S. champion, but he has proven himself time and time again. He puts in the work to prove that he belongs in that ring, because I know I was one of the many people who was squashing on him when he first had his match in WrestleMania a few years ago with him and The Miz were a team. And then, of course, Miz turned on him and now they were against each other. And, when they said Logan Paul, Roman Reigns in Saudi, it's like, really, there's so many other people. Roman Reigns, of course, won the match, but Logan Paul brought it. He even legitimately hurt himself in the match. You wouldn't have known it. You find out after the fact when all of a sudden he's out of commission for how many months it was because he had to have surgery. But in this right here, not only did he prove, yes, he has every right to be there. Yes, he was worthy of a world title shot against Cody. But in designing the match, and this is where Logan Paul has proven himself even more valuable than just the wrestling ring. And yes, he's bringing publicity because he's one of the Paul brothers, him and his goofy brother Jake. And by the way, I hope Mike Tyson beats the brakes off of Jake. But they actually have good ideas. They have vision. And one of the things, apparently, this came out a couple days ago. Logan Paul had actually told them he gave them the idea. He said, "Look, I'm going to do the spot where I come off the turnbuckle onto the announcer's desk. I don't know, whatever move I do." He said, "I want you to have." He said, "Why don't you have a drone camera to actually get that?" He said, "It'll make the shot absolutely spectacular. It'll make it look that much more." They did it, and oh my, the shot definitely worked. And so Logan Paul, he brings more than just the ability, which he has, which he's worked at it. He's put forth the time in the gym. He's put in the training, and I know a lot of people still don't like him because he didn't quote unquote pay his dues. It's another wrestler like The Miz. People used to say The Miz never paid his dues, all because you have to go on the road and you have to do this. If they're good, why does it matter? If they're putting butts in seats, why does it matter? If they respect the business, why does it matter? Logan Paul, just like The Miz, which kind of fitting that The Miz, was the first person he teamed with. Logan Paul has proven that he deserves to be there. Just because he didn't wrestle, go on these real long road trips where they're wrestling for 2 hot dogs and a handshake, it doesn't mean that he's not good. If somebody's talented, you'd be dumb not to put them in there. If he's respectful in the locker room, keep him. If he's respectful in the ring, keep him. If they're doing everything the correct way, why would you get rid of them? Come on. But of course, Cody did win the match, just like we're expected. Logan Paul now, he's not ready he's not ready to be the world title holder. U.S. title holder, sure. That does bring eyes on the product, but he's good. It's not like some of these other ones, like I said, these celebrities who really had no business being in there. I did not like how Sami Zayn jobbed out to that one idiot from Jackass a few years ago. That right there, it made me, as a wrestling fan, Johnny Knoxville. I didn't like Sami Zayn jobbing out to Johnny Knoxville a couple years ago. Johnny Knoxville had no business being in the ring. He looked like a complete tool. And, but that shows also difference between BKM and Triple H. Paul Levesque, miraculous enough, BKM's son-in-law. Sami Zayn in 1 year's time went from job into a a C-list celebrity to the next year he was in the world title picture. And then the next year after that, he won the Intercontinental. He actually ended the longest Intercontinental title reign in history. And now, I mean, he's putting on these matches. He's finally getting the respect he deserves. And had Sami Zayn gone against Logan Paul, though, now it's a little different. Now, if he's doing the job for Logan Paul, because Logan Paul does respect the business. Logan Paul wants to be a wrestler. Logan Paul has a good mind for advertisement. Logan Paul, I mean, he's already got his own product now sponsoring the shows, with his drink. And, you don't think he has a good business mind. He understands it. He respects it. He respects everybody else. He wants it to be a good product. So I'm all for it. And the fact that he's become a very, very good wrestler makes it even better. And so lastly, and this is something that actually came out, of course, on Monday. Becky Lynch, she says she was going to invoke her rematch clause, which I always laugh at now because a couple of years ago they said there were no more rematch clauses because there were people who were getting smacked around. Kofi lost his title in 9 seconds to Brock Lesnar on the first SmackDown that was on Fox Sports. He never got a rematch. You've had other ones that never got their rematches, and now Becky's saying she's going to invoke a rematch clause, and I think that's something they need to put forth on all of them. Cage match, Liv Morgan, and of course Liv won. Once again, helping out with Dominic Mysterio. That's when she plants the big old smooch on Dominic, and now you have all that drama, blah blah blah, the soap opera type stuff, and oh my God, it was mommy and da da da. By the way, Dominic just got married not too long ago. Him and Liv Morgan are not actually an item, and Liv Morgan is with. I thought she was with Bo Dallas, but I don't know. I try not to keep up with all the TMZ tabloid type stuff, but Becky actually left a message on Twitter. It said, to be continued. Her contract expires here in, let's see, what today is, the 29th. Her contract expires in 2 days. That's the last day of the contract. She doesn't have anything signed by June 1st, and she's no longer with WWE. She's a free agent. Now, where's she going to go from here? Is she going to go to AEW? Because I'll be honest with you, AEW not looking so good right now. And and I don't want to mean that negative. I'm just telling the truth. They're starting to hot shot stuff. They're starting to set people on fire. They're starting to have Edge do some wild stunts in cages, and Edge is in his 50s and he's doing this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that he's, but Edge has been hurt before. Edge was out of the ring for, what was it, 11 years and managed to come back. And yes, he looks to be in great shape, but he runs the risk of getting hurt again. They've got all the drama going on with AEW. Tony Khan needs to just step back and say, hey, all right, I'm the guy making the paychecks. You guys are the right. By the way, make your executives, if they have any titles, make them drop them. By the way, if you want to be an executive, be an executive. If you want to be a wrestler, be a wrestler. Don't be both. Okay. Just don't be both, because executives controlling the wrestling with themselves, it's never a good look. It's never been a good look in the past with other promotions, and it's always hurt the promotions, and it's hurting AEW now. And will Becky go there? Meanwhile, Seth is still, now Seth is rehabbing an injury. He had to have surgery again. It was a legitimate injury, and things like that happen in wrestling. It's wrestling. So it's been said that she's going to take some time off to spend time with family, with Seth and with their daughter. And, which I don't blame her. You get some rest. It's a rough industry. Being on the road and, then getting hurt and then trying to, that's the schedule they have, which is just crazy, because now you're also trying to get your workouts in. If you need to do any kind of training, and you need to be able to do that. And then trying to also spend time, by the way, you also have a family. In her case, she and Seth have their baby girl. Well, she's not really a baby so much anymore, but they, toddler, and they have their daughter together. And so she's maybe just stepping back. So she may be back in WWE, give it some months. She may go to AEW. She may go to TNA. She may go to Ring of Honor. Of course, we know that Ring of Honor is part of AEW. She may not come back at all. I mean, I can't see her not coming back though, because she's too good and it's in her blood. You know, she can't just, she would not be able to just step away. And so, but that's the big question now, is what's going to happen with Becky? Is she going to go be with Mercedes Moné in AEW? I mean, because they were, you know, part of the Four Horsewomen in WWE. She could go be part of that, maybe. Um, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like she was having um conflicts with the management of WWE. She's still one of the top people because she's proven time and time again she can deliver. So we will see what's going to happen with that. We'll see what's going to happen with AEW. Hopefully they can have somebody do kind of an overhaul of that, because personally I like it when we have more than one company. It also appears that TNA is starting to do some spots with WWE, at least NXT. By the way, people act like NXT is not part of WWE. No, it's it's their developmental brand. Of course, it's still part of the company. And so now they're doing collaborations with TNA, because Jordan Grace was actually on the NXT show apparently yesterday. I didn't watch it, but I saw the pictures, and that's interesting, because it really was not that long ago where TNA was actually affiliated loosely with AEW. So this could be something in the future. That's something else that Paul Levesque is a lot higher on than what VKM was, because Paul Levesque understands the business. Sometimes you need to do cross promotions. Vince never wanted to. Vince never wanted to acknowledge there was any other company but his. And somebody just explaining how somehow somebody said they've been in wrestling for 10 years and they were never in WWE. Where were they? I don't know. There's no other company besides this. Yeah, he was always kind of that weird contradiction of himself. You know, it's got a somewhat of a paradox, or somebody is already experienced, but how could they be if they never were in WWE? But I think wrestling in general is heading in a positive direction. Um, I think AEW is kind of in flux right now. It's up to them to decide which direction they want to go. Do you want to keep doing car crash TV, or do you want to actually put on a legitimate product? You started out legit, and now it's kind of gone backwards. You're starting to resemble WCW before they finally folded. Don't do it. Actually, come on, pull out of it. You know, give the fans good products. And I'm not a loyalist to any company. People who know me better than that. I like wrestling. That means I like to see all the companies survive. You you know, it's not a. I mean, this is not a um, win lose zero sum game. You can have all the companies be successful, and it's very possible. So that's all I want to say about that. You know, is hopefully everybody can get better. Hopefully everybody will survive and will thrive, and the wrestling industry will grow even bigger, because those are the kind of things that make me happy. And I want to say thank you, everybody, once again for listening. I really do appreciate it. Give me any kind of feedback you want to, armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com, or hit me up on any of the socials. If you're on YouTube, give it a like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. I mean, I actually did notice the subscriber count for on YouTube actually jumped a little bit. It didn't jump a lot, because I still don't have a lot of subscribers, but I do appreciate the ones that I have. And so definitely tell your friends and share this, and so they'll watch it as well. If you notice, I got my camera back, the same camera I had before, and now all of a sudden it's working. I think there may be other equipment issues involved, but we'll see. So I am still looking at a better camera though, and just better, everything, just better production. I mean, I'm trying to fix it. So, but until we can actually meet again, my friends, I just say good day and God bless.